Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly market wrap. My name is Gareth Soloway, Chief Market Strategist here at VerifiedInvesting.com. I don't always do these, but I do them on important days, and today is a very important day from a technical analysis perspective. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty. Before we do that, follow me over here. Let's take a look at what is going on in the markets today. So we can see tons of red out there, massive drops. We have the Dow down 777 points or 1.76%. The NASDAQ down 435 points, 2.18%, and the S&P down 1.7% or 102 points. Now, the kicker is this, right? So what we saw yesterday started to freak out the markets. Today, it continued. Yesterday, it was Walmart. Now, Walmart, why is that such a big deal? The answer is pretty simple, is that what we saw is Walmart was getting people to trade down and shop at Walmart. So they were actually doing very, very well because as people were struggling with inflation, they said, okay, I can't go to the highest end shopping center, so I'm going to go to Walmart. Problem is, the latest earnings and guidance from Walmart showed that even those consumers are slowing down. That begins to freak out the investing public and the markets because it could signal a recession. Next, you go to today, we saw some consumer sentiment numbers coming out, and those showed major concerns for inflation, rightly so, frankly. But again, the combination is now starting to make it look very grim going into the future. And by the way, this is all on the backdrop of an S&P that was basically at all-time highs at valuation levels that you could say rival the dot-com levels. All right. So again, all in all, big drops across the board here. The heat map, again, showing a ton of red. You do see in the health care area, there's some green here. Again, some of my favorites, Biogen's up, Pfizer's up, some of the quality names that are trading at low PEs that pay dividends. You're seeing a flight to safety. But for the most part, it is a lot of red out there on the screen. Going back over here, we have oil dropping 3%. We have gold down just fractionally, barely down, as that's, again, somewhat of a safe haven asset. Even at all-time highs, gold is still a safe haven. And then Bitcoin. This was amazing today, and I'm going to show you the chart. I had this smaller range. This morning, we were attacking the upside. I talked about it in the game plan. And then by the end of the day, because the NASDAQ and the S&P are selling, it brought crypto right down, crashing down to the low end of that tight parallel channel. All right, so again, we'll get into all of that, but let's go to the S&P because this is where things get interesting. So what do we know here? We know we have this high from December. Here we closed above, here we pierced, here we kissed, here finally, right here is where we confirmed a breakout. Now, what we know from probabilities that once you confirm a breakout, odds favor continuation to the upside, but it doesn't guarantee it. Now, today, there's no doubt that we are back below that line, but this is the caveat. To negate a breakout to the upside that's confirmed, mind you, you must now confirm to the downside. The other thing to keep in mind, and this is something that all of a sudden my ears are perking up at this market, and I'm going to tell you why, is because what they say in the technical world of traders like myself is that failed breakouts, the biggest moves, come from failed moves. So when you get a breakout that's confirmed, if by chance that confirms back to the downside, it's usually not just like, oh, we confirmed to the downside, let's float more like that. No. What ends up happening more often than not, probability-wise, is that if you do fail, if the breakout fails, people start running for the hills, and you can see a major decline. By the way, that works on the opposite side too. So if you have a level here where it's coming down like this, it confirms below the support line, but then somehow it gets back above, oftentimes it's a big move to the upside. So it works both ways. There's no like, oh, it's just this side. No, everything works. If it works on one side, it works on the other. In this case, on Monday, we're going to close below this line. There's no doubt about it. We're not rallying all the way back up by the end of the day in the next minute or two. So what we're watching for Monday is, does the breakout fail with a confirmed breakdown? That is something we'll be keeping you updated on here at Verified Investing. All right. So again, a couple other things to go over. We got to talk about the NASDAQ here. This is a big deal. In fact, I think I'm going to go over, actually, before I do that, I'm going to stay here. I want to show you this. So number one, on the NASDAQ, we have this big parallel channel, right? And again, parallel channels, absolutely phenomenal. They work so well that they've become one of the hardcore staples of my trading. All right, here's on this is the low from March 2020, which was the COVID low, the bull market high, the lows here from 2022 and the bear market lows, and then what did we hit right over here On the NASDAQ, we made a high in December. Since then, we've been shopping. Now, the S&P has made a new all-time high, but look, the NASDAQ never did. We never took out this high. We didn't even pierce this high. Now, look at what's happening today, guys. This candle is closing below this trend line, low from August, that big sell-off in August, to the low here in January, to this low here in February, to this low here and later in February. We are actually closing below. Now, remember, and again, I'll go to the big board for this, right? So remember, on the NASDAQ, just like with any other chart, a close below is something to keep an eye on, but it's not a confirmed breakdown. We have to see if it confirms on Monday. All right, if it confirms on Monday, there's likely going to be more significant downside. If it doesn't confirm, they could easily get it back above the line, and we could kind of float back up like this. But if we confirm, you're likely going to be in for more selling pressure to the downside. So again, little things like this, very, very important as we watch for Monday's action. And as always, folks, you know, game plan and trading the close, I'll be keeping you guys updated. Now, across the board, guys, as the markets have now closed, pretty nasty day. Looks like the NASDAQ was down 2.26%. If we look here at Tesla, a nice little drop today, down about 5% on the day. And look at this chart on NVIDIA. So NVIDIA here, this is the power of trend lines, right? Low pivot here, and what happens? Huge bounce. Where does it stop in its tracks? Right here, which, by the way, in the game plan I gave this week, I gave this exact level, saying this would be the major resistance, and then look at that pullback on NVIDIA. So lots of action. And then I just want to point out, there are stocks out there that have been absolutely annihilated. This one was Block, XYZ is the symbol. This thing down 17, almost 18% today. But past stocks, what I'm noticing here is this. There's a change in character. So the change in character that we're seeing in the market, and we've seen this since the start of the year, is that if a company comes out with not amazing earnings, let's just say they're okay earnings or they're missing on guidance, for instance, it's not just a one-day event. We're seeing multiple sell days and stocks getting wrecked. A year ago, it was buy the dip even on those names, and they'd go right back up. That's not what we're seeing. And to show you some examples, let's look at a few. Deckers, right? Decker Outdoors, take a look at this. Look at this drop. I had this former trend line. You can see it barely got a bounce right here. But look, they disappointed on earnings, and this thing has done nothing but go down every day since, basically. And then another one, TTD, which reported earnings this week. Look at the drop and look at the continuation sell-off. There's a massive drop on this stock. And so my point is, the change in character needs to be recognized here and really respected, frankly, because it tells us that there's a change in market investor sentiment, which will extrapolate out. Now, another good example, Walmart. Look at Walmart today. Parallel channel. Look at the close. Missed on earnings or guidance, and it continues down today, breaking this upsloping trend line. Not confirmed yet, but it did break. We'll watch and see, does Walmart confirm a breakdown? And then some of these other ridiculous high flyers. Look at this drop on Carvana. Carvana down another 10% today, was down, I think, about 11 or 12% yesterday. A drop from the high just on Wednesday was $293. It's now at $223. What a drop on Carvana. Another one that should have never been up here was RCL, Royal Caribbean, taking a dump out. That's a big drop on Royal Caribbean. UAL coming in hard. Take a look at that breakdown on UAL. Nice bear flag right here to the downside. So again, listen, Monday is going to be key here. We're going to see what ultimately happens on Monday. Do we confirm? If we don't confirm, then they could float this market right back up. If we confirm, probability definitely favors a major move to the downside. So again, Monday is a pivotal day for this market, and I will guide you guys through it. All right, let's go over to Bitcoin here. Bitcoin was pretty amazing today. So this morning, when I was going over it in the game plan, we were actually at the high end kind of bubbling up. And I said to you guys, all right, you know, Bitcoin is doing pretty well here. Maybe it can break out of this tight range. If it does, maybe it can go all the way up and test the 108, 109,000 level. Well, that was just before the stock market began to sell off all day long. And what I've preached to you guys is that as much as many of us hope that one day Bitcoin is a digital gold where it's more of a safe haven asset, it has not matured into that. And this is a great example. So instead, as soon as the stock market started to sell heavily today, Bitcoin got pushed right back down. But look, it went right back. I mean, talk about a great near-term parallel. It was up here, and then it ended right there. And so it's still in that range, but we're waiting to see which direction does it break. Does it break to the downside, in which case it tests here. If it breaks here, it goes here. Breaks to the upside, you go up to that level up there. All right, so again, really interesting action in the crypto markets. Even altcoins were doing well this morning, and now not so well by the end of the day. Gold today, one of the lackluster performers. That's okay. Gold's at all-time highs, and you can see how the selling pressure did not really extend out to gold today. It basically had a pause day, but on silver, which is more of an industrial metal, so it's more economically impacted, you can see again a nice drop here on silver. Not a huge drop, but again, silver did fall. And then oil today, folks, let's take a look. Big drop on oil. Again, that's industrial. If people are worried about the U.S. economy, oil's going down. Big drop. 4 up days, and this is a great thing to show. You have 4 up days in a row. In one day, you wiped out all those 4 up days. That's a bearish signal when that happens, folks. Very, very bearish. Now, lastly, natural gas. Let's take a look here really at natural gas. Natural gas eked out a small gain, but well off of its highs. There is a ton of resistance up here on natural gas between 440 and really 430. That is a huge level. We'll see. Does it push through next week and break out, or does it stay within this kind of pseudo-parallel channel and start trading back to the downside? We will watch and keep our eye on it. Now, one other thing, guys, before I leave you today. So we know we're watching to see what happens on Monday. Does the S&P confirm? Does the NASDAQ confirm below that trend line? That will be a signal of probability in which direction we're going to go. But next week, we have NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday after the close. A bunch of other earnings that day as well. So that will be the big thing for next week. I think we also get some decent economic data. Even I think the PCE data comes out, which is inflation data next week as well. So next week promises to be action-packed with more volatility. And I think this is going to be the norm. In 2025, volatility is going to keep us popping off trades left and right in both the swing trading services as well as the day trading services. All right, guys, I am going to get going, but I wanted to keep you guys updated. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will be back bright and early on Monday to guide you guys through what the markets are doing. Take care.